And the university ended up suspending the entire fraternity.
It was dealt with pretty harshly.
The party didn't even take place on campus. Mm-hmm. It took place on the Strip on Cumberland Avenue, which is the local hangout for the college kids. Believe me, Cumberland Avenue is highly integrated. It's not a situation where these guys could have done that, and if it was really that offensive, not been probably confronted several times.
They were walking back to their rooms, I guess, and they just happened to bump into some black students who didn't like that.
I was thinking about dressing up as Eddie Murphy, and I was going to paint my face black, and it was going to be because, I mean, I think he's hilarious, you know, and we were supposed to come as like an actor and actress, and so that's what I was thinking about doing, and it's kind of funny, I didn't end up doing it, but then after this all came out, I was thinking, you know, so if somebody had seen me from school or whatever and gotten offended, I probably could have gotten suspended, because I'd chosen to try and dress up and honor this comedian that I think is funny.
You ever seen a Halloween costume that offends you?
No, why?
Well, I'm dressed as the Pope.
Would you be offended if you saw 5 guys dressed up as the Jackson 5?
Wouldn't be offended by that, no.
If you saw 5 guys dressed up as the Jackson 5, would you be offended?
No.
Nah.
Even if they were white guys?
Why not?
I think it would be hilarious.
Even if they were white guys?
That is a crime, but it wouldn't offend me.
It's a crime because they're probably not good at dancing.
Sure.
I've dressed up as the Jackson 5 before.
Have you really?
Yeah.
There were these guys that dressed up as the Jackson 5. But they were white? They got in trouble because they were white and they dressed up as the Jackson 5.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, I would be offended by that. That's horrible.
3 black guys had chosen to paint their faces white and dress up as the Bee Gees, whether everybody would have gotten offended. You know, I doubt it.
Well, the man does have a point.
White Chicks.
In 2004, Sony Pictures released White Chicks, a film whose premise is based on the exact same parody, but with the roles reversed.
Yo, what's up, money? You got a problem?
The people running UT were pretty strict about Halloween costumes, so you can imagine what happened when this student was a target of emails calling him a raghead terrorist and suggested that he be shot in the face.
Nothing has been done about that.
Nothing has been done.
Absolutely nothing.
The threatening email was sent in response to an editorial Sukmani wrote for the school paper.
Sukmani had written an article in the Beacon about the bias of the Issues Committee in terms of who they bring to campus to speak and everything else.
The Issues Committee is actually a creation of the Student Government Association at the University of Tennessee. Their specific charge is to bring different speakers of interest to the campus.
The list, anyway, is all been liberal speakers.
They're not fulfilling their goal of stimulating intellectual discourse on campus. They're just mainly using all the students' money to propagandize and send out liberal message.
The Issues Committee itself is a very, very tight-knit group of people who all feel the same way ideologically. I think in general they will allow 1 or 2 kind of token conservatives on the committee.
So it was a long-running thing. Actually, Sukmani was really, though, the first person to, in a public way, continually point this out and criticize it and say this has got to change.
A friend of Sukmani's, who was a conservative, was the token conservative on the Issues Committee for a while. Couldn't get anything done, couldn't get a word in edgewise, and got frustrated and resigned.
I resigned simply because I didn't think that I could accomplish anything there with people who were so slavish to their own ideology that they couldn't open their minds at all. So why would I bother? Why would I stay? Unfortunately for them, they left me on the email list. And so I was receiving all of the emails that started circulating immediately after Sukmani's article ran.
Sukmani had written an article in the Beacon about the bias of the Issues Committee. And what happened was this kid, I guess, made a comment over email. He wrote a comment to the rest of the group.
He said, the next time you see one of these ragheads, shoot him right in the fucking face.
That's about as racially, insensitive as you can get.
The author of the most notorious of the emails was called in and basically given a little questioning by the Dean of Students, Maxine Thompson, and then she announced to the University of Tennessee community that she felt that he had not violated any part of the university's code of conduct.
He didn't really receive any kind of punishment or any. I think he was banned from the next 2 events. just kind of a slap on the wrist. Nothing like a fraternity being suspended.
I mean, what the five guys did was stupid, but it wasn't threatening anybody. There wasn't an email which said, shoot him in the fucking face.
Kind of makes you think there might be a double standard there.
The faculty advisor of the committee wrote a comment in the paper saying, we're sorry that these things came out, that they were public. Imagine if Nixon said, well, I feel wrong that you people found out about this. About that, I feel terrible.
I'm sorry that it was taken out of context, and it's kind of like, in what context is shoot the effing raghead terrorist in the face? I mean, what context is that, okay? I don't know.
It seems that the administration's policy is hate speech is wrong against certain people. That's the message.
I believe that the reason no action was taken was because Soleimani is an outspoken conservative.
So here at the University of Tennessee, you have free reign to issue death threats against a conservative.
That's how it looks.
Great things are happening at the University of Tennessee.
I'm not for speech codes. I'm not for political correctness. But yes, it does show a double standard in that it violates their codes.
Frequently, double standards on campus come from selective application of speech codes, university regulations used to prohibit speech that in the rest of society is clearly protected by the First Amendment.
Speech codes are a complete scandal.
The Foundation for Individual Rights in Education looked into speech codes at over 350 schools. At 91% of these schools, students could find themselves punished simply for saying what's on their minds.
Rather than saying we're suppressing speech, let's say what we're doing is ending harassment. And then the problem then becomes, what is the definition of harassment?
Anything which is intimidating, which is going to poison the campus environment, can't be allowed.
If a person has their feelings hurt, they will say they've been harassed. If a person feels offended, they will say they've been harassed.
I was harassed and intimidated by that op-ed, by that cartoon.
When most people think harasser, they think stalking, they think extreme kinds of behavior.
If you're offended by it, that's implicitly considered harassment.
They don't want to be known as a harasser, so they go away quietly. It's a very clever way of implementing a speech code.
Over the years, speech codes have been used to prohibit some rather innocuous behavior. Brown University banned speech that might make someone feel angry, impotent, or disenfranchised. Colby College outlawed anything that could lead to a loss of self-esteem. Be careful who you turn down for a date. Suggestive looks were banned at Bryn Mawr. Haverford College prohibited unwelcome flirtations, and UConn banned inappropriate laughter. And at West Virginia University, students were told not to use the terms boyfriend or girlfriend. The school says those words are too gender-specific. Instead, lover and partner are preferred.
The truth truly is stranger than fiction. You could not make some of this stuff up.
We're all protected by the First Amendment. We can all say what we want, but on a private campus, what you say can have consequences. You're usually you're usually required to undergo some sort of sensitivity training.
School officials often use speech codes to suppress political ideas they don't like.
A pro-affirmative action rally at Berkeley is not going to be shut down. I haven't seen a case yet where a Free Tibet rally has been shut down.
At Indian River Community College, a Christian student fellowship wanted to show Passion of the Christ at an outreach meeting, invite people to come see the Passion of the Christ. The administration refused to allow that movie to be shown. Their justification was that the Passion of the Christ was R-rated, and younger students who weren't old enough to see R-rated, who could not legally see an R-rated movie, would wander in, be exposed to it, and what a crisis that would be. At the same time, however, in fact, the very same semester that they denied the Christian Student Fellowship the ability to see the Passion of the Christ, they allowed a play to proceed in their theater called Fucking for Jesus. The script of the play featured a woman masturbating to pictures of Jesus Christ. 80 to 85% of our cases have involved conservative students. Very simply, it's a reflection of the proportion of the complaints that we receive in our office. Now, that's not to say that liberals don't also have